What is up, tea people? You know what time it is. You know what time it is. It's tea time, y'all. Can let this hang out for a second here. Maybe I'll even try to get a little bit closer if I can. A bit more light on this guy before we begin the session. That looks good. So today's session is going to be interesting. This is actually bulang material that was created by the Southeast Asia Puerh Association, a commemorative cake, Malaysian stored. And the Mao Cha is probably from 1998 and then pressed in 2004. The company that commissioned this for this Puerh Club is I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, Q Xian Tea Factory. And then Nan Kiao actually produced it in their factory. So got a little bit of a history. That looks really nice. And yeah, excited to get into this one today. So this was a handout from your boy James, who is doing. Come on, come on. Perfect. Focus, please. Doing a huge Bulong uh review. And sorry for the sounds in the background. Life happens, as it were. Hope everyone's doing awesome. That means you, whoever's watching this. But yeah, anyway, so Bulong material here. So I'm expecting some strong material. I've been drinking some of the kind of leftovers from the sampling that James did. Oh no, check out mytdb.com.org/drinkers/James/sessions. And then you can go see the sessions that he did, or you can go to mytdb.com/tags/Bulong, and that will show you gorgeous color. The sessions that James has tagged for his Bulong, upcoming Bulong Dennysodes. Yeah. Nice. Can really smell the Malaysian storage on this. Pretty dark immediately just off the rinse there. Oh, wow. A lot of wood. A lot of that pencil shavings kind of a thing. I'm gonna go and double rinse this guy. Smells wonderful. Sweet wood. Maybe a little bit juicy. I'm excited for this one for sure. Hope everyone's doing awesome today. Like I said. Yeah. James, I'm sure on the blog is going to be hitting a really big Bulong article, so check that out. He's been drinking, I don't know, I think he recorded like 20 sessions in the app just for Bulong alone. Let's see if I can do that. Get back in here. Oh man, just like antique store, vanilla, cherry, wood, really nice and dark complexion on the pour. Really clean. Some light cinnamon. A lot of sweetness, and yeah, cherry wood on top there. I'm gonna immediately come back in here for a second boil and let this hang out for like 10 seconds. On the app, people want to have like the exact steep time for every single steep and like the temperature for every single steep and stuff. I don't know. Let me know in the comments, but for me, that's just like, that's kind of, I guess I just assume that tea drinkers on the app are at a level where it's useful for their annotation, but I personally assume that people know how to play for these different teas and how to brew them. But of course, for an evaluation, when I'm just trying this for the first time, I don't know. I'm going in kind of blind. So if it's a finicky tea, and I'll be honest, especially with like when I'm not familiar with Japanese green teas. Wow, something very medicinal. It doesn't smell quite like camphor, but cloves. Some smells excellent. I'm extremely excited on this one. I'm using my nasty cup here, so bear with me, but liqueur, pretty dang dark. High pour. We're getting that red, really clean. Maybe a little bit of red, getting that really deep red color in there, and that's with a pretty light hand. Oh, I guess it's not the lightest hand for the first steeping there, but yeah, really excited. Look at that. Look at that texture. Oh, I love that shot. All right, cheers, everybody. You know, the boulangy upfront intensity is definitely there, but it quickly transitions into what I like to think of as like really developed wood. It almost has a roasted oolong wood character, very base tea, um, bitterness on this. A 4 out of 10. You know, using the app, I've recorded 120 sessions, I think, in the app so far. And I've been using it a lot longer than everyone else has publicly. But it really has actually made me a better tea drinker, I think, which is one of the coolest parts about doing this whole project. Um, I just am much more attentive to the kind of criteria of things I have to think about. Really nice. Very, very little high end. Really bassy and low. Medicinal, borderline acrid, but not there. Bitterness is probably a 5. Now I think about it. Really wonderful. Incense. Yeah. Mm, really nice. This was provided or purchased from Liquid Proust, liquidproust.com. Shout out Andrew. What is up, my guy? Andrew is a true G, hooking us all up in the West with some really interesting stuff. I believe that these cakes are now pretty hard to find. Um, a lot of Yancha kind of vibe on the low end on this, really minerally and deep character. And that medicinal thing is not quite what I would call acrid, but it's really strong. The bitterness is even building. And the third steeping, which I'm going to push here because this is more of an evaluation for me, is going to be, I think, gnarly. Yeah, the developed wood character on this is really just next level. Not as much of that graphite pencil shavings in the cup. Not really composty either. I think I would kind of categorize this as more of that Yancha roasted oolong low end wood. Oh, really, really nice. Take a look at that as well. You know, just the soup color alone is so alluring. The texture of it, velvety, thick, and really delicious. Oh man, what a fun session. Yeah, softer incense on the nose. Yeah, interestingly, it reminds me a little bit of the double lion, but without the barbecue. Even deeper mineral notes on this. Not as sweet either. Cheers. Wow, I really like this. You know, the Boulong character of this is very strong still, and so even for a tea of this age, you're still really noticing the terroir, the origins of this tea. Powerful, but balanced. It's still very intense though. I say that the bitterness of this is still kind of jutting and pretty gnarly, but it's ready for me today as is. Using 4 grams today instead of my typical 5. Um, and I'm glad I'm doing so. I think Oolong deserves a lighter hand. One out of 10 in sourness, maybe 1 in terms of that umami kind of funkiness. Yeah, really nice. think my buddy John would like this one a lot. Just powerful, deep, bitter, lasting. Not quite building in the chest yet, but really coating the back of my throat. Strangely for me, a bit of a relaxing tea, but this profile is very abrasive and strong. Nevertheless, I just feel centered and at peace drinking this one today. So boiling water for the third steeping here. I'm going to hit it for about 15 seconds. It's going to be what I would consider probably bad. Sorry for the sounds, everybody. That's the sounds of life. Sounds of childhood. Sounds of child rearing. So 15 seconds. We're doing this extremely scientifically. Really nice lasting flavor. Maybe light hints of vanilla that sit with me. The Huigan on this is not as sweet, but still very powerful. The texture on this one, I'd say, is not quite very thick, but kind of like medium thick. It's funny in the app, right? Like, do I give that a slider, like thickness 1 to 10? Do I say like thin, normal, thick, oily? That's what I decided to do. You can go in so many different gradations, right? How do you pick? And then offering too many choices means that it's kind of like analysis paralysis. What makes a 6.3 versus a 6.6? You know what I mean? Like, so the app design, again, check out mytdb.org. The incense on this is really nice. Yeah, really beautiful. The material itself, we'll zoom in here in a second, but gorgeous as well. Pretty dang red at this point now. And we'll get the pour on the camera here. Sweet cinnamon that's not quite showing up in terms of the spiciness in the cup, but very much there in the nose. Just try to get in a little bit more in here so you can still see some green. Pretty crazy. Definitely notice the blend of this. Material itself, decent. Yeah, you can definitely see some of that green right here. Ooh, really salivation, salivating inducing, saliva inducing. Sounds kind of gnarly to say it that way, but true. Come on, there we go. Still just the astringency is definitely building now. Feeling the bitterness. And yeah, the color of this just gorgeous. Cheers. Just better. Oh, strong. Yeah, it's strong, but it's just better. Thicker. Oh, the bitterness comes. Oh, yeah, it does. I'm gonna give this one an A+ for me. That's about a 7 out of 10. Borderline. No, it's an 8 out of 10 on the app. I couldn't tell you that it needs something different. More time, honestly. Um, Bulang character teas, they're not my absolute favorites, even at this level of kind of intensity. This one's still very strong. And again, kind of borderline acrid. And I don't just mean bitter. I mean that it has that kind of like cloying, sharp bitterness character. It's a little bit like, chewing up Tylenol accidentally. You leave like you're trying to drink a Tylenol pill or whatever, and it stays in your mouth too long. Almost perfumey and that kind of incense thing happening. We're gonna hit it with, this is a 205 water now, and do a flash steeping as a comparison. And I'm gonna have a sip of water as well, just to refresh my palate a little bit. Brewing it much lighter. Much lighter there. I don't get paid to be a perfect. Woo! Bitter one. Cheers. Perfect middle ground right there. Sweet. The bitterness comes and then it goes. And it stays acrid in not a terrible way. I can't imagine what this was like to be drinking it when it was produced. But right now, it's at a perfect sweet spot. This one is borderline S tier for me, kind of 8.5, 9 material. Really nice, sweet, delicious, easy drinking for me. Definitely a teenager's tea. Check this one out, liquidproofs.com. Give out Andrew a shout out. Tell him I sent you. I don't know why. Just say what's up. What's up, homie? Anyway, you guys know how it is. I'm gonna continue to slurp on this one today. Some teas, I'll be honest, it's like I hit it 3-4 times on the Dennysodes and move on to the next one. Do something I would prefer to drink a bit more of. This one, I'm gonna push through. And this tea probably even deserves a second look at the late steepings. Steepings kind of 9, 10, and 11, but you guys don't have infinite time. Try to keep these a little bit faster. Solid, salty. I could brew this next one on camera, but I'm not even going to do so. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, click all the buttons. Go to my.tdb.org and log in and subscribe. Sign up. Start logging your sessions. Just added a stats page. It is so cool to me. It is really interesting for me to nerd out on my own sort of like stats and metrics on tea and understand my own drinking a bit more. It's surprising, honestly. The cool thing about making the use of the app pretty fast, hopefully, for people, is that you get a lot of data in there, and then after a month, 2 months, 3 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, pretty interesting to look at. So I'm certainly excited to be analyzing the tea information for myself, and hopefully you guys find the information analysis interesting as well. Lovely, sweet, lasting flavor here. Thanks, James, for hooking this sample up, and hope you have an awesome day. See you soon.